Hello everyone, this is N-GameArts. This was a continuation of my physical collection of PlayStation 4 games that I have 700 plus games of. This is part 5. Again, if you're not aware, I have several other parts I posted, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Again, you can see a playlist. I will try to provide links to that. And again, if you are interested in seeing more videos, I play other games and stuff like that. I cover games completely offline with an unregistered account. And just hopefully this could be a channel and place that you can enjoy about physical games and physical collecting. So, moving on, we have our next physical copy. We have Remother, Tormented Fathers, and Broken Proclean, the double pack. This was only available in Japan import. Now, this does support English, but when you first boot up the game will not actually have English. Oh, come on. English when you boot it up. You have to go to the settings and turn on English. So it's going to be pretty hard to navigate when you first put it in because it's going to be all in Japanese. If you can't understand Japanese, it's going to be kind of difficult, but both of them do support English. You just got to change the settings to English. I have yet to play them. I don't know the experience and how they run or anything like that. I have been intrigued. They're horror games. That's all I know about them. I've heard some mixed things about some of them, but I don't know. I do know that like one of them has a Switch release or something like that. It's only standalone. I just know that one of them has a single release here in the US, but the other game has a release somewhere else, and this is the only way to get both games with English on physical disc for PlayStation 4. So I'm glad I picked it up. I haven't played it, so I have no opinion. Proteus. This is a boomer shooter style game, a very good boomer shooter style game. It's definitely up there with probably one of my top 5 favorite. Very good game. It's got good graphics, good settings, good gameplay, as well as some good action and music and stuff like that. Just only disappointingly is that it's online multiplayer. There's no split screen or anything like fighting bots or horde mode. It's just basically the campaign and that's it. When you play it, you're done. As well as that some of the progression system in the game is not the best, but overall this is a very, very good boomer shooter and one you should really, really look into get on your shelf. There is a PS5 version. I have no opinions of what that's like. This ran perfectly on my PlayStation 5 at 60 frames per second, and to me, backwards compatibility to be able to play my games on PlayStation 4 is much more valuable to me than above all else. So, again, I'm really glad to have this on my shelf, and it's a must pick up if you're a fan of boomer shooters. Moving on, we got Pac-Man World Repack. This is a remastered remake, or to a degree, of I believe PlayStation 1, if I recall. I haven't played it, so I don't know the quality of it. It's just a remake or remaster of a classic Pac-Man game. You would never see it coming. I know this surprised a lot of people, but hey, I'm happy it got a new reprint run, a new physical copy. I would like to play it at some point, but I haven't had a chance. Moving on, we have Pac-Man Museum. Includes 14 games, all on disc, but some of them you do have to unlock as you play. So that's a little annoying in case there's only one you're maybe interested in playing, but you can't play it immediately because you got to unlock it in some manner of way. I played a little bit of it. I played the various forms of Pac-Man, and it's fairly good. There was one hiccup. There was one hiccup that happened when I was playing it, but I can't recall what it was. I think maybe the game locked up or something like that. I can't remember. I don't know where all this stuff keeps appearing on my mat. Moving on, we got Sword Art Online. I don't know the name of this. It's the Game Director's Edition. I played a little bit of it. I'm not really into the anime. I know the anime is really popular. This does come with some DLC, like bikini outfits for the girls and stuff like that. I have no opinion. I don't know the quality of it. And I know there's several other physical copies and re-releases of this, so I'm greatly behind on picking up these versions of games. Again, I don't really have an opinion. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of the anime. The Swapper is a limited run physical release. It's one of the earlier physical releases, so they might have a small number of physical copies. It's an interesting kind of like horror mystery solving, but it's got this interesting dynamic where you swap bodies or something like that with another corpse or something like that. It's very interesting, and I haven't beat it, but I was really intrigued. Usually I just pop in a game in, try it out for a little bit, and if it draws me in, I get more involved, but then I pull myself out, and like I got other games I need to play. Definitely a game I want to sit down and play when I can. Tales of Baristra? I have all the Tales games. I just don't play a lot of them. I don't know why. I'm not saying they're not a bad action RPG. JRPG. I don't know. Never really sat down and play any of them. I don't know why. Just I have them, but I don't really have much of an opinion on them. I mean, they're good games from what I've heard. Now, again, Knack 2, a phenomenal PlayStation game. I particularly am a big fan of Knack. I have enjoyed the games. I've put over 100 hours in Knack, just the first game. Knack 2 is a massive improvement from the first one. It's a very good game, and I highly recommend it. It's not the best platformer. It's not like better than like a Hat in Time in terms of like a family-friendly 3D platformer, but I really glad that this game exists, and I was 100% surprised that we got a sequel, and I'm glad we did. I am a big fan of Knack. I don't know why it gets so much hate, and I would love to see a Knack 3. Moving on, another release that I cannot believe we got, Klonoa Fantasy Rivalry Series. This comes with Klonoa 1 and 2. Now the first one is a remake, and it's a very good remake, while the second one is another remake of the second game. This one really, really surprised me. I am a big, big fan of Klonoa. The only problem I have with this collection, it only comes with 2 games. And there's several other Klonoa games that came out like on Game Boy Advance, and maybe the Nintendo DS. Not sure. I would love a collection of all the Klonoa games. This is a must pick up. Klonoa games always seem to get pretty rare down the road. There's a PS5 version and a Switch version, and I have the PS5 version coming in, but for some reason the package has gotten massively delayed. I may cancel the order and try to find another way to get the PS5 version, and I will eventually get the Switch version. I am a big fan of Klonoa. These are phenomenal games. You should definitely have this on your shelf if you can get a copy, because it's going to probably get rare at some point. Again, we got Keturah Fables. Again, it's a cat game, so as I see cats or dogs or animals, I'm going to pick it up. I don't really know much about it. I know it's like some kind of like farming kind of style game where you like raise crops and you fight enemies and stuff like that. It's from P-Cube, which they are hit and miss on sometimes on their physical releases. Sometimes they're fairly good on disc, and other times they're pretty buggy and definitely release now, fix it later mentality. But overall, I'm glad I have it on my shelf. I haven't played it yet. Moving on, we have Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection. I am not a big fan of the Uncharted series. I just basically add this to my collection. I have no fond memories of this. Actually, the only one good memory, and I've been holding this story off for when I was going to talk about it, because my mom played Uncharted, and she really likes the Uncharted games. She stopped playing on the third one. She never beat it, at least I don't presume she did. And one day she came to me asking me for some help with some puzzles, and I was going to help her with some puzzles of it. What was funny is that after the puzzle, it did some cutscene. And then, pardon for my language, a heads up on this. My mom, after the cutscene, put the controller down, paused it, put the controller down, slowly turned to me and asked me, why are all the women in these games bitches? I could not believe my mom actually asked me that. It was such a surprise. My mom never talks that way. I always remember that, and that's the only good memory I have of Uncharted games. And the only thing I could think of I told mom is like, this is what Naughty Dog thinks a strong independent woman is. And she looked at me confused, and she was like, it's more insulting than actually empowering for women written characters. I agree. I hate all the characters. The only characters I like in Uncharted is Sully and Cutter. I hate everyone else in these games. Naughty Dog is terrible writers. They are just some of the worst in the business. Their games are forgettable. I know it's going to piss off a lot of people, but I don't care. South Park, The Stick of Truth, a very good game. I'm glad this Vigilante had a first PlayStation 3 release. And then we got a PS4 release, which I'm really glad, because at first it was like only on the Fractured Butthole and it was only a digital download. Then later on they released it physically, which I'm really glad, because this comes with, I don't know if it comes with all the DLC expansions on disc, but it comes with most of them, and it comes with the updates and stuff like that. It's a very good RPG, and it's well worth your time to have it on your shelf. Really enjoyed it. Next one is a disappointing game, is Sonic Origins Plus. This is a huge disappointment, as this does not come with any bonus content on disc or anything like that. I believe it comes with some updates, but not a lot. And it's just doesn't come with some of the original music. A lot of the games are missing. And again, it only comes with four games on disc, while all these other games you have to pay for, and you can't even get to play as Amy. which would have been an awesome added character because there's no female characters, and Amy would have been a good chance to include a female character. She should have been a free update. All of this should have been on the disc day one. But anyways, I mean, if you haven't played Sonic games, I guess you can pick this up. But there's so many collections out there of Sonic games. This is probably one of the worst. And it doesn't have the original music from the third game, if I recall. So, I don't know. It's just a disappointment. Moving on, we have Sonic Colors Ultimate Edition. I've yet to play it. I've heard some good things about the game, but I heard that this physical copy is kind of buggy on disc. Not entirely sure. I haven't played it, but I've heard good things about the game, Sonic Colors. Moving on, we have Star Wars The Jedi Knight, The Jedi Outcast, and Star Wars Jedi Knight, The Jedi Academy. This is a limited run collection. Now there is a standalone physical copy that got wide release that comes both games on one disc or two discs, not sure, but I know it's in one case. Excuse me. I am not a fan of Star Wars, so I only really got this for collective purposes only. I don't really have much of an opinion. I've never played these games. I've heard some good things about it. But it's Star Wars, so it doesn't really mean much to me. I don't know. I have it. I basically bought it because it's retro games, and I love when retro games get real physical copies. So, but I don't know. I mean, if you're a fan of it, great. Let me know why that's such a good game. Next up, Star Wars Republic Commando. I've heard, again, very, very good things about Star Wars Republic Commando. Not the most interested in it, because, again, it's Star Wars, but maybe one of these days I'll play it. I know it's a first-person shooter-style game, and you do squadron-based kind of stuff where you issue out commands, which is kind of sketchy on me, because AI command games like this don't usually work out very well. But overall, I'm very intrigued. That's probably one of my next Star Wars games I'll definitely play. Next one is Stellaris, the console edition, the Royal. This is a Japan import. There is a PAL version of this game, but it's heavily outdated. Now the Royal version is updated. It's got a great amount of updates on the game. But sadly, none of the DLC is on a disc. It's on a redeem code. So if that doesn't bug you and you just want an updated physical copy, this is a must pick up. It's a strategy 4X style game. I played a few campaigns on this, or a few skirmishes, and I enjoyed it every single time. And if I wasn't doing YouTubing like this, I'd probably spend a little bit more time playing this because I just love these kinds of games. This is a must pick up, but sadly they blundered by not putting the DLC on a disc. I'm hoping we'll get a PS5 physical release that will have all the content on disc. Moving on. We have SteamWorld Heist, the SteamWorld Collection, which comes with SteamWorld Heist and SteamWorld Dig, the Fistful of Dirt. I've played a little bit of both of them, fairly good. They come with the DLCs and expansions on disc. I don't know if it comes with everything, but overall, interesting. One's like a Metroidvania, another one's like a roguelike almost style game. I can't really say much. I haven't played them in a while, but they're fairly good. Another one, Stealth Inc., The Clone in the Dark Ultimate Edition. This is like a 2D side-scrolling like stealth game where you gotta try to navigate. It's got some good humor. It's pretty violent too, so keep that in mind. Sadly, though, there is a sequel, and that has yet to get a physical copy. I'm really hoping we'll get a sequel because I actually really like this game, and I really want to play the sequel to this. This is a must pick up if you love stealth kind of 2D style sprite games. It's very, very good. Just hopefully we can get a sequel at some point. Moving on, we got Streets of Rage 4, the Anniversary Edition. I recently covered this game. It's fairly good. It's got great graphics, but sadly, you can't block, and only one character can run. Now there is a limited run version of this. It is heavily outdated, and this comes with the expansions and DLCs on disc, and it's fairly updated. There might be an update available, can't remember, but this is the one version you should get. It's a good beat 'em up if you're really into it. I mean, I'm half and half on beat 'em ups. They're like fighting games. They're not the most favorite genre, but it's a fairly good game. Moving on, Metal Gear Solid 5, the Definitive Edition experience. It comes with Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes and Metal Gear Solid The Phantom Pain. Overall, not my most favorite. That comes all on one disc. Not my most favorite Metal Gear Solid. Probably my least favorite because I'm not a fan of huge open worlds. I actually like Ground Zeroes more than Phantom Pain, simply because it doesn't have the giant open world aspect of it. And I actually got more emotional at the Ground Zeroes part. I did not care for Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. I hated the open world. I don't know. I just didn't really like it. It's definitely the worst in the series. I definitely have only played it once. I've played all the other Metal Gear Solid games multiple times. I've only played this once, and I have no desire to ever play it again. Uh, but it's still a good copy. It comes with the DLC and both games on one disc. It's well worth a pickup. Moving on, we got Smugglecraft. This was probably a FOMO buy. I won't deny that one. I saw it looked interesting, somewhat interesting, but I had skepticism when I was getting it. But I was like, you know what? Let it run. I'll check it out. I played a little bit of it. I don't know if it's for me. I like its graphic aesthetic, but also I don't like it. It's got neat ideas, but it's a little too simplistic for my taste, which is surprising because I usually enjoy simplicity. But in the end, I'm still glad I have it on my shelf. Alright, moving on. We got Resident Evil 2 Remake, a very good survival horror game. If you don't know, I'm a huge fan of survival horror games. I have the puzzles and code stuff written down. There you go. If you need help, there you go. There's some puzzle solving. I've written it out and everything like that, so when I have to come back to it, I have it already pre-encoded and stuff like that. I really like it. I'm glad I have it. And it's a very good remake. There are some drawbacks. Some would say this is better than the original PlayStation 1 version. I'm saying they're tied. This game is really good, don't get me wrong, but there are some elements that the PS1 did do a little better, in my opinion. It's still a very good game, very glad to have it. I still would wish we would get a remastered collection of the original games. I don't care about that the graphics look bad or anything like that. I just want the original games to get a new physical copy. I don't like the idea that Capcom is treating like this is Resident Evil 2 and the original one should no longer exist in anybody's head. That's dumb. I want this one to have a physical copy, and I want the original games to get a new physical copy. And I would like to see a PS5 release of this, because I know there's like an update to give it like 4K support and like 120 frames per second or something like that. I just would like to see a PS5 release of it. But very good. If you're a fan of survival horrors, you probably already have it or have already seen it and played it, but definitely worth to check out. Moving on, we got Resident Evil Origins Collection, another really good survival horror bundle. It comes with Resident Evil 1 Remake, GameCube Remake, and Resident Evil 0 GameCube. Again, I got codes written down in here and everything. It's a very good game. Now, Resident Evil 0 is definitely the black sheep of the group. It's got its problems, but it's still a good survival horror, classic turn-based tank control game. And then Resident Evil, the classic GameCube Remake, is extremely good. This is a must pick up if you're a fan of those kind of genres and classic style horror games. Moving on, we got Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. This was a really popular game on Xbox 360. I believe this is the first time ever that Tales of Vesperia was released on a PlayStation console. You could correct me on this. It may have gotten a release on like a Japan release and it didn't have English, or if it did, it was unknown. Or at least I never heard of it. Again, it's a very popular Tales game. It's really the one that really skyrocketed the game into the mainstream to some degree, because it came out on a 360 and it was actually very good. And this does come with the expansions and DLC on disc. Definitely a must pick up, especially if you're a Tales fan. Moving on, Super Stardust Ultra VR. This is another Housemarque kind of physical game, but again, it's only available in the PAL region. I personally really enjoy Super Stardust. It's an extremely good game. It's definitely an inspired game from asteroids, where you have asteroids come in to hit the Earth planet, and you got to destroy the asteroids orbiting around the planet and stuff. It's a very good game. I've been wanting to play it and cover it on my channel, but I know I had it on vote a few times, and most people didn't really vote for it, which I understand. It's more of an arcadey game. It's not a big adventure game. Moving on, we got Tales of Arise. This is the PS4 version. There is a PS5 version. I haven't played it. I have no opinions of it. I know they recently released an expansion. And I don't know if there is a new print run, but I don't think the expansion's on disc. I haven't heard anyone say anything, but I could be wrong. And it's another Tales game, and I have it on my shelf. And another Tales game I haven't played. Again, another Tales game, Tales of Symphonia Remastered. It's another game. This was a GameCube game, but disappointingly, the GameCube game is still the superior version of Tales of Symphonia, as the GameCube one has 60 frames per second, while every other iteration of this game is only at 30 frames per second. Apparently, they lost the code for the GameCube version. That's why we keep getting the 30 frames per 30 frames per second version. Still a good game. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it is a cash grab because we had so many. But again, I don't care how many times we see a physical copy. I am glad to see another physical copy, even if it's nothing's changed. That's fine by me. More physical copies is always great for physical collectors, especially for offline gaming with an unregistered account. Another surprise release, Tactics Ogre Reborn. I cannot believe I've yet to sit down and play this. This is the original first Final Fantasy Tactics game before they went and create Final Fantasy Tactics. It was originally first released on PS1, which I do have that, and it came out like a Tactics Ogre Let's Cling Together on the PSP, which I was very disappointed because I can't play handhelds. They hurt my eyes. I can't, or at least recently it has been changing lately. Maybe because I've been messing with my phone more, but I can play Slay the Spire on it. And it doesn't really affect me that much. But in the end, I'm glad we had a PS4 release. It is available on PS5, which I do have it on PS5. I bought 2 copies because I wanted to support it. I want Final Fantasy Tactics Remake, and I'm glad we have this too. I don't have an opinion of it because I have never played it, but I'm more than happy to have more strategy games on consoles. Moving on, we got Super Meat Boy Forever. This is like I don't know if this is like a remake or a sequel to Super Meat Boy. Again, this is from the creator of Binding of Isaac. I don't know opinion. I heard some people say they're not a big fan about it because apparently I think it has like random level generation, while the first release had like handcrafted levels. And some people are a little iffy about that because it doesn't feel as well tuned out level design. Again, I don't have an opinion. I've yet to play it, but I'm happy to have it on my shelf. Moving on, we got Syndrome. This is from Big Moon Entertainment. I played a little bit of it. It's definitely a low budget game. That's all I can say. It's got some definitely issues, but it's a horror game. Happy to have it on my shelf. You could look into it, but don't expect a lot from it. Moving on, we got Hotline Miami and Hotline Miami 2, wrong number. This is a really good physical copy. But thankfully, we got this because originally it only came out with Hotline Miami. I think it was on PS3 or just PS1. And then, it was PS4, but it was only the first game, and the second game was on our redeem code, which was very, very aggravating. And thankfully, we had this US release. This came with both games, oddly, on 2 separate discs, even though they could have easily fitted on 1 disc. But I'm glad this exists. It's a very violent game. Just keep that in mind. Moving on, we have Demon Gaze 2. I think I bought this one used, if I recall. And that's what got me intrigued, and that's, used. How much did I pay for it? I paid a pretty penny for this. I paid $43 for this. So, definitely paid a pretty penny because I had a feeling this is going to probably become pretty anything that's called NIS America is from NIS America or Xseed is definitely going to become quite rare generally. I haven't played it. I know it's like a dungeon crawler, but I picked it up because I knew it was I just wanted to add it to my collection. Again, another Star Wars game, Bounty Hunter. I don't know nothing about it. I heard it's a fairly good, I think it's a PlayStation 2 game. I heard some good things about it, but I haven't played it. It's another Star Wars game, so sorry if you're hoping for a deep enrichment, engagement, all that stuff. Next up, Spiritfarer. This is another kind of like a cozy game, if you will. I've been very intrigued into it. I don't know anything about it. I just know it's not a challenging game. It's about helping animals or something like that accept death and helping them cross the rivers of Styx or something like that. It just fascinated me, and again, I love supporting indies. I love buying indie physical copies, and before anyone judges and say any smarky things, I'm well aware that if you want to support indies, you should buy digitally because they get more money. Physical copies, they really don't get much profits of it. I get it. I'm well aware that you should buy something digitally, especially on indie side, but I do not buy digitally. So I try my best to get the physical copy, if able, of an indie game. Stray, I've yet to play it. Again, it's a cat game, so I'm definitely going to buy it. My nieces greatly love this game. They are big fans of cats, and I am a big fan of cats too. So I've heard good things about it. I haven't played it. I know it won some form of Game of the Year, or it was in a Game of the Year contender at some point. Moving on, we have South Park, The Fractured Butthole. oddly enough, I didn't get into this one as much as I did in the first one, The Stick of Truth. It's still a good game. Still enjoyable, and I'm glad it's a very good South Park iteration. Oftenly back in the day, you look at these kinds of games and instantly think that it's going to be a bad game, which I'm glad it's not. They're both fairly good games. I might just like Stick of Truth a little bit more. Moving on, Marvel Spider-Man, Osniak Spider-Man game. Again, this is probably, yeah, for a fact, this is probably the best Spider-Man game. Again, I'm not into huge open world games, so I played it once. I have no desire to ever play it again. It's a fairly good Spider-Man game, and I don't deny I have no idea how you would make a Spider-Man game without it being open world. But in the end, I did enjoy this one for its open world aspect. Is it my most favorite game? No, no. But again, I'm glad that they were getting, that Osniak was able to make this and do a great thing. I'm just a little disappointed that Osniak seems to be just now slapped with all Marvel titles. This disappoints me quite significantly. But hell, at least we're getting a good Spider-Man game. I'll take it. Moving on, we have Spelunky. I don't really know much about it, honestly. I just know it's like a roguelike, maybe? I can't remember. There is a sequel that we haven't gotten a physical copy yet. I think you play as a girl. Can't really say. I don't know. Isn't it a limit run? Yeah, this is a limit run release. Moving on, Stickbold, the Dodgeball Adventure, Couch Overtime Anniversary Edition. It's a fun little party game. You get to play dodgeball. I know it has like a campaign mode. I have yet to sit down and play it. I don't know. I played it with my nieces at one point. We all had a good laugh. Well, most of us had a good laugh. One of them didn't really like it because they didn't like getting hit by the ball. So I understand. It can be frustrating, especially if you feel like you're being ganged up on. But in the end, it's a very fun game. Definitely if you can play with people. Next one, a very interesting game, Song of Horror, which is obviously a horror game. Now, this is from Limited Run. Sadly, there is a Japan import that does support English, but sadly, the physical copy is broken and unbeatable, while the Limited Run version is fully beatable on disc. It is still buggy, and it's still going to be a cumbersome moments in game and some weird bugs and hiccups, but it is beatable. While if you buy the Japan version, I've been told that is fully broken. You cannot beat the game. The game has a lock-up moment within the game. In the end, I'm happy to have it on my shelf. I did play it. I covered it. I do have a video of it if you want to check it out, of me play testing it completely offline. I enjoyed it. It's definitely an interesting horror game. We got Songbird Symphony. It's a rhythm based song game. I didn't know what I was getting into when I picked it up. I didn't pay a lot for it, but I couldn't really get into it. I don't know. I played it for a little bit, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely not for me. Moving on, we got Sniper Elite 3, the Ultimate Edition. This is a must pick up because it does include all the bonus content on disc. I have yet to beat it. I don't think I've beaten it. But, again, it's a very interesting sniper style game where you can see X-ray shots of the bullets going through people, and you can blow people's private parts apart if you want to do that too. It's just interesting. There's multiple physical copies, and this is the only one I have, sadly. I just don't know why. Every time I think about it, I just forget about it. I forget I even have that. Next game is Spider-Man Miles Morales. Again, I have yet to play this. I'm not that interested again in it. It's a huge open world game, so I'm not really that interested in it. I picked the PS4 version. I may pick up the PS5 version before I play it, but I don't know. I just have no really much interest. It's a huge open world game. I feel like I've played the first Spider-Man game. I probably have already played this one, so I'm not that interested in it. Again, it just disappoints me that now that seems like all Osniak is doing is Spider-Man games. Moving on, we got Resident Evil 3 Remake. A good disappointment. That's all best way I can describe it. It's a good game, and it's got some good elements to it, but sadly they cut out a lot of the good segments of the game, and just some other design points were just, I don't know, disappointing. It's a good game, don't get me wrong, and I'm not the biggest, I'm hit and miss on Nemesis's new design. And just, certain elements are good and certain elements are not. I mean, it still had fun, and it's still an enjoyable survival horror game, and it's still a good game you should have on your shelf, but you definitely feel like there should have been just a little bit more in this game. I'm still glad, though, it got a physical release. I know a lot of people said this should have just been DLC, which maybe it should have been, but I'm glad they at least chose to make a physical release for it than put it on DLC that would maybe not been on disc. So I would rather have it like this than be some DLC that we will never have a physical copy of. Because maybe they'll never do another physical release of Resident Evil 2, and if that was DLC for that, they may have never released it. It could have been a DLC redeem code or something like that. So I'm still happy we got a physical copy. Moving on, we got Red Faction. This is a remaster, not really a remaster, but a port from the PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 4 port, PS4, PS2 games that they did for PS4. I'm sorry, I'm jumping over my words. I played it. It was actually fairly good. I was a little hesitant because it was THQ Nordic, but it overall worked pretty good. Now, this is from Limited Runs. That's why it probably worked, because they waited till they actually had all the updates and stuff like that on disc. And again, they didn't really touch the game that much. It's just a port. It's not like a remaster or remake of the game. So, it's a good first-person shooter. It's one of the original first ones, so it's got some oddities, but it's kind of cool to see the roots of where FPS has started from and where they are now. Moving on, we have Quantic Dreams Collection, which comes with Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls. I'm half and half on this. If I had to pick which one I like, I would say Heavy Rain's my favorite. Detroit Become Human has a lot of issues that I'm not a big fan of. I would go into it, but we don't need to go into whole detail of why I felt that there was a little bit of a disappointment, and some of their writing directions were very biased in certain elements that I felt that was very how do you say I don't want to get into it, but anyway, it's a good game, but I don't know, it just left a lot to be desired. I prefer Heavy Rain. While it does have awkward moments and it's a little older, so it's got some oddities, overall I'm happy to have it. I mean, it's good games, good collection to have on your shelf. Now this is the only way to get, I think, the US version. This used to have a PAL version, and this is the only way to get the US version of the game, I believe. But in the end, happy to have it. Not the biggest fan of it, but I don't hate the games like other people do, because it's not a game. It's more of an interactive experience. But I play visual novels. If you play the visual novels and know about visual novels, that's no different than a visual novel. Just a little bit more action going on, interaction going on. Summon Night 6, The Lost Borders. This surprisingly has become quite expensive. I have noticed that there's many variations of this game. I do believe this is just a standard version. And a lot of them, even the standard version, is getting quite expensive. I bought this used. Surprised I don't have the receipt in here. I haven't played it. I don't know. I've heard mixed things about it, but I picked it up because I noticed it was getting kind of expensive. Moving on, we have Surviving the Aftermath. This is like a city builder kind of style game where you build up a civilization. It got my attention. That's just what I'm into. I guess I bought this used. What did I pay for it? I don't see. I doubt I spent $61. This was a bunch of games, and the actual receipt's somewhere else. I don't know. I don't think I spent $61 on this. But I haven't played it, so I don't know anything about it. I just know it's like a city builder, civilization taken care of game. Moving on, we got Super Robot Wars T. I've covered a few of these already, and this is another one where it's a bunch of characters from other animes all together. I think one of them has Cowboy Bebop. Spike is in it, I think. Again, it's like a turn-based strategy kind of style game. I haven't played really any of them. I just know I have them all. Here's the next one, Super Robot Wars X. Again, I have yet to play it. So there's like a Code Geass, I think that's called the anime. I don't know his name, the character, but I know the anime is called like Code Geass or something like that. He like brainwashed people with his eye or something. I don't know. If I recall. Again, I have another physical copy. Again, these are only available as Asian imports. You cannot buy this game physically in US, and it's not even available on the digital storefront in US. So that's why I ultimately wanted to go ahead and pick them up. Moving on, we have Kingdom Hearts 3. I am not the biggest Kingdom Hearts fan. This might surprise people. I know, I never got in. I'm not the biggest Disney fan, and I know some people are really crazy about Disney stuff. So, I don't know, maybe it's the community and certain aspects that draw me away. I was disappointed to hear that Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't actually have any of the Final Fantasy characters, which is insanely disappointing. I definitely would have probably played it if it had the Final Fantasy characters. I'm not going to play it for the Disney characters. I don't care about Disney characters. My most favorite favorite Disney movie is The Emperor's New Groove. That's my most favorite Disney movie, and that's the least popular of the Disney movies. Moving on, we have the Kingdom Hearts collection, which is the story so far, which comes with many Kingdom Hearts games on disc. This is a must pick up if you want all the Kingdom Hearts all on disc. I picked this up, so I played the first one, but I've never played the second one or any of the other games. I'm just not a big fan of Kingdom Hearts. Moving on, we have Kuno Kan, the World Classic Collection. This is like a Japan import. It's got a bunch of classic Japan games. A lot of them do have support English. There's a few of them in here that doesn't support English. This is only available in Asian importing. I'm glad I have it. It's actually got my video of this exploded because apparently this was available for free at one point in the PlayStation storefront, but only the Japan version. Again, some of these games you cannot get even digitally unless you have a Japan account. Moving on. Kuko's The Lost Pets. I looked at this. I thought it was kind of cute. It's got like another 3D platformer style game, so right up my alley. So I haven't played it, but I heard some pretty good things. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst thing out there. So I definitely would like to check it out at some point. Moving on, this is the one I played. This is the Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avengers X. This is the one I played. The other one I did not play. This is the one I played, and I did not like it that much. There was so much action, it was actually blinding the screen. And again, the camera's so close that the game expects you to fly around the screen all over the place, but the camera's so close you can't see where you're going. I don't know. It didn't really impress me. They had other physical copies they released, but as I said, I'm not here to buy stuff that add... Though I want every physical PS4 game, I didn't buy any more releases after these two. I'm just not that interested in it. Hot Wheels Unleashed. This is a fairly good racing game. Sadly, it does have some minor hiccups. I bought this used. It's got some dirt on it. The only problem is that the game has some issues in terms of progression, where you'll have to basically go online because some of the riddles are almost impossible to know what you needed to progress the campaign, as well as that it is outdated. So there's an update that allows you to add leveries. They even brag about it on the back of the case, but it's not actually on the disc. You have to download that, as well as that your custom tracks cannot be played with computer, which again is a very disappointing. It's still a good game, but it's got some problems. Moving on, we have Star Wars Racer Revenge. It's a Star Wars game. I don't know. I know it's a racing game. That's all I know, but I don't have no desire to play it. Sorry. I know any Star Wars fans out there. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Again, I don't know if this is like a sequel to that yellow boxed one. I don't know. I really don't know. But again, I have it. I just bought it because I collect everything, and just because I'm not into Star Wars doesn't mean that I can't at least appreciate the gameplay. Moving on, we have Star Renegade. I have yet to play it. I know it's like a tower defense roguelike, I think it is, or something like that. And it's a tactical. You got it's tactical base. I don't know. I've heard mixed things about it. I'd like to check it out at some point. Again, I just saw it. I got it pretty cheap. I think I spent $15 on it. I got Star Ocean, Integrity, and Faithfulness. This one had some weird camera issue that legitimately gave me a headache. I wasn't a big fan of it. And I know this is not the best Star Ocean game. The best Star Ocean you can get physically right now, PS4, is that remake of Star Ocean, The Second Story R. That one should be your first. This one, this is not very good. Though I'm not a Star Ocean enthusiast, so I don't really have a judgment of what's good and what's not good in the Star Ocean genre games. I just heard many bad things about this. And I played it for a little bit, and I legitimately got a headache from the camera. Moving on, we got Stardew Valley, the Collector's Edition. Sadly, this is extremely outdated. This desperately needs a new physical copy. It's still good, don't get me wrong. If you love farming, cozy, relaxing games where you don't have to worry about too much, but just build up your farm, like Stardew Harvest, is that what it's called? What is it? Star Moon Harvest? Man, I can't. I can't remember. Harvest Moon, that's it. Harvest Moon. Sorry. Harvest Moon, if you're aware that we are like a farmer, you can get married, and it's like a cozy, relaxed game. It could be right up your alley. We need a new physical copy. We desperately need a physical copy of Stardew Valley. Spyro, the Reunite Trilogy. Now, some might be surprised by this, but this is a more updated physical copy. do not be deceived by the cover art that it says it requires a content download. Activision reprinted this physical copy. This has, at the time when I covered it, it has no updates available, and it comes with Spiral 1, 2, and 3 on disc. The only way you can be able to know, I don't know if you can see it because this camera doesn't get as close focus, the first print run only has on the disc 2018, while the reprint version has 2018 and 2019 on the disc. When you see that 2018 and 2019 on the disc, that lets you know this is a reprint of the physical copy, and it comes with all 3 games on disc. This is a must pick up. Really love Spiral. I definitely like Spiral more than Crash. Not to say I hate Crash, but this is a must pick up. You need to hunt for this physical copy. If you also want to know a helpful thing, the first print run does not have this pamphlet. So if you come across a physical copy and you can see the pamphlet in some way, that's a good guarantee that you have the reprint version, because the first print run did not have this pamphlet. But also, like I said, look for that 18, 20, 19 on the disc. That will let you know that you have the best physical copy of Spiral Reunite Trilogy. It still upsets me that Activision released this game so early that they didn't have the 3 games on disc like they did, but at least they reprinted it. Though badly, because they didn't put it, they still left the required content download, so people are still deceived that they think that this game cannot be played offline with an unregistered account, that you need to download the content. But no, hunt down this physical copy. Hopefully this was a very helpful part. Luckily, thankfully, this is the last game I have onto the stack to provide this information, so look for this if you can. It's a must pick up. Get this reprint version. You won't be disappointed if you're an offline, unregistered physical game collector such as myself. Or if you're a fan of Spiral and you want the superior version of the physical copy, because this is going to come rare. Like, I don't know how many they made of this reprint version, but eventually people are going to become aware that this is the best version. So hunt it down while you can. So that's the last stack of this. I believe we're on the part 5. Hopefully you really enjoyed this video. This is, again, a continuation. Like I said, I will provide links or a playlist to all my other parts, and hopefully you enjoyed this. We have much more games to cover, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next part. Bye-bye!